Hey guys, thanks for joining us today on If This Car Could Talk. We're so glad you're here and appreciate you taking the time to view another one of our videos. We've been posting videos on a regular basis for over 2 years now and pride ourselves in providing content free of foul language and negativity. Every Sunday we have car features, historic features on specific models, and we cover car shows and auctions too, something for everyone. Check out our previous videos and watch any of them that have subject matter you'll enjoy.
This sounds good. Yeah, it's noisy.
Today's focus is on a truck that's gaining a lot of popularity with enthusiasts. It's the mid-sized trucks from the Chevrolet and GMC lineup of Blazers and Sonomas. They're a perfect platform for modifications and have huge support from the aftermarket. Since they were built for many years in huge quantities and are essentially the same under the skin, parts availability and interchangeability are also a big bonus. And they're still fairly plentiful, making it a less costly buy-in for a new project. This week's feature car is actually a truck and belongs to a female enthusiast. But don't let the Sonoma's docile appearance driven by a lady fool you. These two make a lethal team on the street and on the track. Patty's our kind of people, as is her husband Randy. They built their 2 trucks in a suburban 2-car garage using previous knowledge, developing new skills, and recruiting friends to help. Old school hot rodding at its finest. This is really the first part of a 2-episode video. Next week, we'll show you Randy's S10 Blazer up close. Both trucks are extremely well done and make a great pair to see at various events around Phoenix. Now, let's go for a ride.
My name's Randy Oakleaf. I own a 2000 Sonoma pickup that was built for my wife to take to car shows. It's got a LS motor in it. It's got Brian Tooley camshaft, stage 4 cam, bronze rocker arms in it. You name it, it's put in it. It runs real good. It's got a 4L60 built by Gary at Precision Transmissions. I had took that, it's a frame off. A friend of mine had said his aunt had this S10, or why he called it an S10 when we went and seen it was a Sonoma pickup with a bad motor. We got there, it was a little 4-cylinder, motor blowed up. And so we bought it. It was rough, a few dents here or there. Brought it home that afternoon. We got it that morning. That afternoon, I had it down to bare frame. Cab off of it and all done. So we stripped it completely down to the frame and built it back up from that. I took a frame right behind the cab and cut it in 2 and took 6 inches out of the middle of the frame and put it back together. And that way I kept a stock suspension in the back and then narrowed that 10-bolt rear end, took 16 inches out each side. So once I narrowed the frame, we didn't have no place for a gas tank. So that went up in the bed. I put a fuel cell in the bed and the batteries in the bed because there was no room up front. I wanted to make it look, when I did the LS, to make it look like it was something the factory should have done. So it's got factory air, it's got everything still on it. Something that they should have done, really. But so I had to move the AC forwards about 4 inches. And so I moved the condenser forwards, and I didn't want to cut the radiator support out because that just looks hacked up. So what I did was I lowered the radiator. It's actually mounted in the frame. It actually sits in the frame of the vehicle and sits in front of underneath the radiator, the core support now. And so it gave me plenty of room for the LS. I kept a stock oil pan. It was on the LS. I just cut the frame, the A-frame to match the oil pan. So it's on the same slope as the oil pan and everything, and it's got plenty of ground clearance. So I was able to keep it just a stock oil pan and everything like that. It's got hooker headers and 3-inch exhaust all the way back. It's got a set of 10-inch Dynafo mufflers, but they are wide in the back from 3-inch to 5-inch outlet in the middle. So it changed the whole tone of the car. Everybody says, that don't sound like a normal car does. And everybody keeps asking me how I got it so loud. And I said, it's just 3-inch exhaust to that megaphone in the back. So, but my roll pan had a license plate deal in it. And it was supposed to have been no license plate deal. It was supposed to have been delete. And it came that way. And I thought, well, what can I do with that? I was going to cut it out. And I thought, let's try this. So it was one of them deals you do when you build a rod. You just figure a way around it. So then I built that cover for the back out of it's a knotty pine and a metal frame, and built the frame, put the knotty pine in it, and then it's heavy, but it's not too heavy. And originally I just raised it up. I had a support you put in place, and I decided to put these actuators in. So I bought one. And it lifted it all right, but it lifted it crooked. So I went and got another. But the actuators are 12-volt actuators for a satellite dish is what they're for. And it runs off a remote. So it works pretty slick. Then it got around to the interior. And again, I was over at the wrecking yard, the pick-you-part place, looking for parts for something else. And they brought in it was a 2018 Ford Eurosport, and I happened to see it go by, and I'm watching that thing, and I walked over, and the interior was perfect. And it was gray and dark gray, and I thought, just what I'm looking for. And so I bought them and did the same thing, tore them all apart, put the Chevy tracks or the GMC tracks underneath of it, and put them on there and made them fit. So that took care of my interior. So other than that, it's a 3-door, an extended cab, so it gave me room to work in the backside of it. But Patty takes it, drives it to car shows, and it's won several shows in her class, and it's just gratifying, And we do everything together. We've been now a couple of weeks. We've been married 45 years, and we do everything together. Our whole time together. So we drag race together. We had a shop together. We go fishing together when we did all the bass fishing at that time, and we just do everything together. So it was just fitting that she had something to take to car shows too. So everything on both them trucks was something that I dreamed up, and did. Some of them created some pretty bad problems, but you figure a way around it. You figure out how to fix it. The latches, well, once I moved the radiator up on the frame and moved the AC condenser in, I had to take a hood latch out of it and weld that in and fiberglass the front end and weld in, take that all out. So I was trying to figure out how I'm going to keep the hood down. I didn't want the old style clip-on pins, and so I found these are Can-Am, what they use on Can-Am because of aerodynamics. And so they just lock down and pop into pins, and they lock. And they got a safety. If you hit the first latch, it'll pop up, but they won't release until you push them back with your fingers. When we first built it, when the temperature got up around 90 degrees, you just couldn't get that motor. Just kept getting hotter and hotter in town coming in. I mean, it would get 230, 235, 240. And you're like, man, you just driving through town trying to get it home before you can cool it off. And so a friend of mine back in Ohio that I graduated with, Brett, his name's Brett Behringer, great guy. He can build anything, and it's just the guy, you tell him you want something, he can build it. But he built his own stamp machine, hydraulic machine, press, and made his own dies for making louvers in the hood. And the louvers is made off of, if you look at them, they're square, they're not round. It's a gem locker pattern is what he used. So I brought the hood, and him and I are in the garage, and we're we got the hood upside down trying to lay patterns out. And everything we laid out just was ugly. And we were out there party most of a day. And Patty comes walking out there, and she's standing there, and she says, "You guys are still messing with it?" Yeah, nothing looks right. Nothing. Everything's ugly. And she's there about 5 minutes. She said, "Well, why don't you do it like this?" And so we laid it out, and it was perfect. But it dropped the engine temperature 25 degrees. And it's just gratifying to see her win at the shows. I know I built it, but it's just a smile on her face that makes it so.
Well, Patty, thanks for taking some time to show our YouTube viewers your really cool GMC. Next week, you'll get to see her husband Randy's sweet little S10 Blazer. Join us next Sunday to get a glimpse of how awesome a non-traditional hot rod truck can be. Until then, remember, please be careful out there.